Today, we're diving into the incredible story of Daneil Dunkley, a journey that goes from the absolute depths of hardship right back to a life filled with purpose. It's a powerful story, one that reminds us that true resilience can be born from the most difficult times imaginable. I mean, just listen to those words piercing the earth. How does someone get to a point where they feel so low they have, as she said, absolutely nothing left? So we're going to trace the steps that led Daneil to that moment of complete despair, and more importantly, we're going to see how she clawed her way back. So her story really starts, like so many others, with a search for something better. For Daneil, that meant leaving everything she knew behind and starting completely over. Get this, she was only 20 years old, just a year after having her son in Jamaica, when she moved to the US all by herself. But that dream of a new life, it met a really harsh reality, fast. The culture shock hit her like a ton of bricks, the loneliness was just profound, and she was under the constant stress of just trying to stay afloat financially. So you have to wonder, what keeps someone going through all of that? For her, it was one single, powerful motivation. Every single challenge, every sacrifice, it was all to build a better life for her son. Okay, so while she's trying to navigate this new country, a whole other chapter of her life begins. And this one would end up making her question her very identity. She met a man her own age, and what started as just a casual thing quickly exploded into this whirlwind romance. They moved in together, got married really fast, but moving at that speed meant the whole relationship was built on a super fragile foundation, which she was about to find out the hard way. The expectation was a real partnership, right? Something built on mutual respect. But the reality was this slow, painful chipping away at who she was. Daneil found herself compromising more and more, first on her standards, then her boundaries, and pretty soon her own sense of self-worth just started to dissolve. And her own words, man, they just hit so hard. You can feel how much she'd lost. She felt like she allowed someone else's behavior to completely reshape her own, until one day she looked in the mirror and just didn't recognize the person looking back. So this huge internal crisis was about to collide head-on with an external one. After her divorce, a series of devastating events hit all at once, and it pushed her right to the absolute breaking point. Shortly after the marriage ended, Daneil found out she was pregnant. And instead of joy, that news just brought on this overwhelming, crushing wave of shame. She felt like she had willingly walked right back into a situation she knew was bad for her. And that feeling, it became this heavy, suffocating burden she carried every single day. And all that stress, it literally took a physical toll. A full-term pregnancy is around 40 weeks. Well, Daneil gave birth to her daughter at just 23 weeks. I mean, that is dangerously, terrifyingly early. Her daughter was born weighing just 1 pound and 7 ounces. It's almost impossible to even picture how tiny and fragile that is. Just a tiny life hanging in the balance, a situation that would test anyone's strength. And just when you think it can't possibly get any worse, it does. While she was spending all her time and energy shuttling back and forth to the hospital NICU to be with her daughter, her apartment lease expired. She had no time, no money, no energy to find a new place. And just like that, she was homeless. So there she was, at absolute rock bottom. Her sense of self was shattered, her newborn was in intensive care, and she had no place to call home. This is where the story pivots. It's a question we all might ask ourselves, right? When every single one of your support systems has crumbled, where does the strength to even keep going come from? For Daneil, it came from a very, very unexpected place. The person who changed everything was her daughter's doctor, a man she'd always found kind of impatient and difficult. He stopped her one day in the hall, and he just acknowledged her. He saw her showing up every single day, and he told her, "You did a great job." And that one simple moment of recognition, it was everything. It was like a light switch flipped. Hearing someone else reflect her own strength back at her finally allowed her to see it in herself. She realized that even when she felt completely broken, she had been showing up with incredible power every single day. This newfound awareness became the foundation for a completely new life. She started that long, hard process of transforming her deepest pain into her greatest purpose. So, what does healing actually look like for her now? Well, it's not some finish line you cross where you're suddenly all better. For her, it's an active, ongoing journey. It's about making a conscious choice every single day to put herself first and build a life that she truly loves. And she's put that healing into real, tangible action. She mentors young girls who faced abuse, using her own story to help them build the self-worth that she once lost. She even started a nonprofit to feed the homeless because she knows that pain firsthand. And she's reconnected with her own passions, like singing, and just committing to her own health. This right here, this has become her personal motto. It's so simple but so profound. It's a declaration that her life is no longer going to be dictated by her circumstances, but by her own values and her own passions. And that really leaves us with this final thought. Daneil Dunkley's story is just an incredible testament to the idea that our most painful experiences, they don't just have to be scars we carry. They can actually be forged into the very source of our greatest power and our truest purpose.